Hi everyone, I am Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and I'm super excited because this video is a part of a little series I'm doing in support of the Antique Anatomy Tarot study that's happening primarily in the Abundant Life Tarot group on Facebook. We deep dive into featured decks or decks that we just really want to take a deep dive into, and we do that for a specific length of time. And so I was like, what kind of content do I want to create for this next tarot study? And since we're working primarily with the PIP deck, that's what the Antique Anatomy is, a Victorian era PIP deck, Victorian era inspired deck, I should say. I was like, this is a great opportunity to explore a topic like what we're going to discuss today, which is numerology. Working with just the basics of numerology and incorporating it into our tarot work. So if any of this intrigues you, whether you're part of the tarot study or not, or maybe you just want to learn a little bit more in this overview of numerology and tarot, stay tuned. Deep dive and get into the nuts and bolts of each card numerologically, I just wanted to share a couple of things with you. So the first is that I recognized early on in my tarot reading journey the importance of numerology. And so with that being said, I have this large binder of like my own personal study materials that I made for myself. And I have the ones or aces all the way through, 2s, 3s, 4s, so on to 10s, right? And so I have my own keywords that work well for me that's also representative in numerological associations. And it's been super helpful. And I even have how we look at odd numbers, which for me tend to be is represented in leadership or breaking away or masculine energy, or even numbers, which represents harmony, balance, and the feminine energies. And I even also have reverse number meanings too. So as you see here, I have this hole punch because it usually is in a binder, and as I'm wanting to study this up close and personal. And I even have additional numerological associations where I go into detail for each of them. Let me see, with the meanings here. And I even have an additional considerations piece that I think you guys might be interested in. So I'll just read those for a moment here. So it says, if a number is repeated throughout a tarot reading, it is usually significant. The significance of the repeating number may stress the importance of its numerical meaning. The significance of the repeating number may show a length of time. And then I have another bullet point of the length of time is usually when something will happen, days or months for the querent, the length of time something lasted, like a relationship, or how long ago a significant event happened. Another thing to consider is sequential numbers can show when something starts and ends. For example, seeing 4 through 6 repeated in a reading can indicate that something will begin to come to fruition in 4 months and be complete within 6. Sequential numbers can also indicate the nature of a situation. Lower numbers like 1, 2, and 3 in a sequence suggest something is unfolding, while 7, 8, and 9 can indicate a situation is coming to a close or closing. So those are some additional considerations when you're applying numbers in numerology into tarot. So what we're going to do though today is we're going to look at the associations that the guidebook has presented And the guidebook is so cool because it has the numerological associations. One are aces, beginnings, ideas were our energies, which mine's is ones and aces, new beginnings, opportunity, and potential. So raw energy could be potential. So what we'll do is we'll look at the cards in their with their numerological number. So we'll look at the majors, and we'll talk first about how we get the majors broken down into between 1 and 10. Okay, so we'll do that today as well in the video. And then we will look at the cards and we'll go through their numerological associations. So let's get to it. All right, let's dig into these numerological associations and the tarot. So, number 1, or ones or aces, deals with beginnings, ideas, raw energy. According to my list, I will also add ones and aces are associated with opportunity and potential. Twos are associated with duality, balance, and opposing forces. And I will add partnership, which is something I typically associate with twos. The threes associate to expansion, groups, and growth. And for my own list, I would add creativity, again, partnership, as well as teamwork. Fours are associated with stability, stalemate, and foundation. And I will add structure and manifestation. Okay? And then fives are associated with isolation, conflict, and perspective. And I would also add that the fives deal with instability and change. Sixes are associated with fairness, values, and solutions. And I will also add it's associated with communication, cooperation, and harmony. And then sevens are associated with change, evaluation, and patience, as well as reflection, assessment, and knowledge. And eights are associated, according to the Antique Anatomy Tarot Guidebook, eights are associated with success, control, and activity. I would also associate eights with mastery, action, and accomplishment. Nines, according to the guidebook, are associated with preparation, mastery, and wisdom. And I would also like to add that nines are associated with fruition, attainment, and fulfillment. And then finally, tens are associated with completion, endings, and reflection. And for me, tens also symbolize or associated with an end of a cycle and renewal. Okay, so when we are looking at not the Fool card, because the Fools are our wild card, and I will talk more about that in a moment. But between the Magician, which is associated with 1, to the Wheel of Fortune, which is associated with 10, you can see how each of the numerological associations tie into the majors between 1 and 10. Okay, let's move on. All right, so numerology and the tarot. And the 22 cards of the major arcana are numbered actually between 0 and 21, with 0 being the Fool card, 21 being the World or Universe card. So I want to get into the numerological associations for the major arcana cards. Keep in mind, and this is courtesy of the Antique Anatomy Tarot, that double-digit cards are broken down into their base or master number. Add the two digits together and refer to the numerological representations associated with the sum of the two numbers. So if you have the guidebook from the Antique Anatomy, check out the numerology and the tarot section at the very beginning of the book if you want to dive a bit deeper into this. So let's go through some examples of how we break down the double-digit major arcana cards to get the base and master numbers. So first I have as an example the Hanged Man, which is associated with the number 12. If you break down or say 1 plus 2, you get 3, and the base number then is 3. The Devil card is associated with number 15, and just like the Hanged Man, we broke down the numbers, the 15 into 1 plus 5 equals 6, with the base number being 6. And I want to stop here and say that when we're looking at the base number with the numerology, this will also be key in looking at the upcoming video I'm planning to do for companion cards. So the base number is also associated with the companion cards. So in this case, the Hanged Man's companion card would be associated with Empress, or the Devil card would be associated with the Lovers. That's the companion card to it. Okay. Moving on to the Tower card is card number 16. So we break that down to 1 plus 6 equals 7. Base number is 7. So if we're looking at sevens, and according to my list here, sevens would be like the Chariot, for example, right? And so the numerology associated with that, or the associations, I should say, is reflection, assessment, and knowledge. Okay. The Star card is card number 17. We break down 1 plus 7 equals 8. Base number is 8. And then we have the Moon card, which is card number 18, which is 1 plus 8 equals 9, with the base number being 9. Okay, so then that is what will help us with associating numerology to the tarot cards, okay? All right, let's get into these special considerations regarding some of the major arcana cards. I briefly mentioned earlier about the Fool card being the wild card of the majors, and that's because the Fool is associated with 0. 0 representing all or nothing, finite or infinite. Another card to consider, actually two cards because they have similar considerations, is first, the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is associated with 10. 10s, according to my own personal list, or the list that I have of numerological associations, is dealing with completion, end of cycle, renewal. So that's the Wheel of Fortune, and it has already a numerological association to it. But it also is a double-digit number that can be broken down into 1. So 1 plus 0 equals 1. So for the Wheel of Fortune, you can also assign, you have two base numbers, 10 and 1. So then you can also assign the associations from the ones being new beginnings, opportunity, and potential. And with the Sun card, it too is a double-digit number that can also be broken down to get the base number. So 1 plus 9 equals 10. And with 10, you break that down, 1 plus 0 equals 1. So the Sun also has two base numbers, should you so choose to do this. Not everyone may be called to break down the Sun or the Wheel. Well, the Sun definitely would need to be broken down, but the Wheel of Fortune, you technically don't need to break it down. You could just simply have a base number for the Wheel of Fortune as 10, but what's beautiful about breaking it down further is you can see with the tens, it's about completion, end of cycle, renewal. And then also it's about new beginnings, opportunity, and potential. And the Sun card, same thing. The Sun card is about completion, end of cycle, renewal. And it's also about new beginnings, opportunity, and potential. And so that is what I want to share with you about some of the special considerations regarding some of the majors. All right, so now let's talk about numerology and tarot in the minors. So the numerology of the minor arcana relates to the numbered cards only. According to the guidebook of the Antique Anatomy Tarot, you do not need to worry about the court cards. And so, you could elect still to associate numbers to the court cards. And I'm happy to discuss with you in the comments section how I do that. But I'm doing my tarot study according to the guidebook, and I like what they had to say. Don't fret over the court cards unless you want to. And I do. For example, for the pages, I assign to 11s, okay? And so I could break that down further and get to a base number of 2, should I so choose. But that's, for time intense purposes, we're just going to move on. There are no master numbers in the minors. So when you encounter a 10, look only to that representation for guidance. Do not break it down to 1. So even though the guidebook mentions breaking down the wheel, for example, the wheel of fortune from a 10 and giving it also a base number of 1, for the minors, it strongly emphasized do not break it down to 1. But you can, I suppose, if you wanted to, really. It's really up to you. In this case, the 10s, for me, my own personal definition of the 10s with numerological associations associates with completion, end of cycle, and renewal. And you could even add new beginnings because 10s are about that as well. So you can make it simplified for yourself in that way. All right, now let's just look at some cards so we can really start to sink in what we've learned so much or so far about numerology and tarot. Okay, let's dive into these cards. We got a lot to go through. Okay, so first up we have the Fool card. The Fool card, remember, is the wild card. It is associated with all or nothing, the finite or the infinite. Okay, so that is the Fool card. Then we have the lovely Magician. The Magician represents the number 1. In the tarot, you see that here with the figure 1 depicted here on this card. And 1s or aces even are associated with new beginnings, opportunity, potential, raw energy, ideas. So that's what we associate with the Magician. Then we have the High Priestess. High Priestess, figure 2. She's associated with the number 2. With 2s, we have balance, partnership, duality, and also opposing forces. Next up is the Empress, associated with the number 3. 3s are associated with expansion, groups, and growth. I also like to attribute or associate the 3s to creativity, okay, as well as partnership. And yeah, that's what I like to associate with it. And also, that would be more of a tarot association. Moving on. Now we have the Emperor. The Emperor is associated with the number 4. Number 4 is about stability, stalemate, and foundation, according to the guidebook. or the guidebook's numerological associations. For my own associations, I would add manifestation and structure. Next up, we have the Hierophant. This is associated with the number 5, which is attributing or associating to key terms like isolation, conflict, and perspective. I would add also instability and change when I see 5s associated with the tarot and what associations come with 5s. Okay. Next up, we have the Lovers, associated with number 6. 6s deal with fairness, values, and solutions. And I would add communication, cooperation, and harmony. We have the Chariot. The Chariot is associated with number 7. 7 deals with change, evaluation, patience, and reflection, assessment, and knowledge. Strength is associated with the number 8. Number 8 deals with success, control, and activity. Also mastery, action, and accomplishment. In the comments below, let me know if you have different associations, numerological associations to the numbers 1 through 10. Next up is the Hermit, which is represented by the number 9. 9s are associated with preparation, also mastery, according to the guidebook, and wisdom. And I also attribute it to fruition, attainment, and fulfillment. Number 10, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. 10s are associated with completion, end of a cycle, and renewal. So endings for sure, and also a time of reflection. And if you wanted to add, you could add even new beginnings on the other side of completion. Now, this is where we start to get into the numbers that need to be broken down, right? Because they are double digits. So Justice. Justice is associated with the number 11. And if you break down the number 11, you get to a base or master number of 2. And 2s are associated with duality, balance, and opposing forces. So yeah. And we have the Hanged Man associated with the number 12, base or master number 3. 3s deal with creativity, partnership, growth, and groups. Expansion, if I didn't say that. Here's the Death card. Death is represented by the number 13. 13's base number is 4. We have stability, stalemate, and foundation with 4s. And manifestation is one of my key terms on my own numerological association list. We have Temperance. Temperance is number 14. 14 is broken down into a base number of 5, or master number of 5. 5 deals with isolation, conflict, and perspective. We can also, for my own personal list, add instability and change. All right, the Devil. The Devil is represented by the number 15. 15's base number is 6. 6 is the base or master number for the Devil. The number 6 is associated with communication, cooperation, and harmony. It's also associated with values. Okay. Then we have the Tower. The Tower is represented by number 16. 16 is broken down into a base or master number of 7. 7s are associated with change, evaluation, patience. I also have reflection, assessment, and knowledge. Okay. star. The star card is represented by number 17. You see here the Roman numeral 17 here. Okay, 17 is broken down into a base or master number of 8. 8 is associated with success, control, activity, as well as mastery, action, and accomplishment. The moon card is associated with the number 18, broken down into a base or master number of 9. 9 is represented by preparation, mastery, and wisdom, or fruition, attainment, or fulfillment. Okay. The sun is represented by the number 19, but it has potentially 2 base numbers here. We have 10 or 1. 10 associated with completion, endings, and reflection, and then 1 beginnings, ideas, and raw energy and potential. Judgment. Judgment is represented by the number 20. Base or master number is 2. And 2 is associated with duality, balance, and opposing forces, as well as partnership. Okay. And finally, the world card. The world card is represented by number 21. 21 is broken down into a base number of 3. 3 is expansion, groups, and growth, or creativity, partnership. Okay. And what we do with these, when we're thinking about numerology, especially with pip decks or really any decks really, it helps us to inform our meanings to the card readings that we're doing. So we can take our memorization of the numerological associations to each of these cards, to their base numbers, and it'll help us to really flesh out what the card meanings are trying to tell us in a reading. So now we're going to look at different suits and different minors to apply what we've learned so far about numerological associations and the tarot. Okay, we're back. So I have broken them down to aces all the ways to the 9s of each suit. We have the ace of rods. We have the ace of coins here. Ace of blades. Ace of elixirs, cups. Okay, so remember the aces or ones deal with beginnings, ideas, raw energy, and opportunity and potential. Potential in what? Passion and goals with the Ace of Rods. Potential in career, home life, the physical aspects of a relationship, your health and well-being, new beginnings in that, and opportunity in that arena with the earth elements here. New beginnings in, things related to the mind, new ideas coming into fruition with the Ace of Blades. And then new beginnings in love, new opportunities for love, and a bunch of new potential with this new relationship. Okay. Next up, we have the 2s. So we have the 2 of rods, 2 of coins, 2 of elixirs, 2 of blades. Remember, 2s are about duality, balance, opposing forces. We see that here with the 2 of blades here, right? So I love to see that. We have 2 of cups or 2 of elixirs, balance. We could even say harmony, duality. Juggling here with the 2 of coins. So yeah, those are the 2s. Moving on to the 3s. We've got the 3s from all suits here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. These colors too. be sure to check out my colors and the tarot video so you can explore that aspect of card reading and then blend all of these elements together, right? All these different correspondences here. So with the threes, we have expansion, creativity, groups, growth, partnership. We see that a lot with the three of coins, partnership, teamwork, right? Expansion with the three of rods, three of wands. And you've got the three of elixirs and the three of blades. With the threes, it definitely, you can grow from even heartbreak when you see this. Partnerships, collaboration, community coming together here with the three of elixirs. Okay, we've got the fours here. So we got the four of blades, four of elixirs, four of rods, and four of coins. All right. Fours are about stability. Do the stability, stalemate, and foundation. Also, I would add structure and manifestation. Okay. So we see that with that four of rods. Foundation, structure, stalemate, and manifestation. All of these can represent some level of manifestation. It can represent some sort of stagnancy here and stalemate energy with the four of elixirs. Okay. All of them, are representing of manifestation in the air, fire, earth, and water elements. Okay, I'll be back. Talk about these fives here. We got all of the elements here. Fives represent isolation, conflict, and perspective, according to the guidebook. I also have here change and instability, and conflict for certain with whether you're dealing with the emotional inner conflict here with the five of elixirs, or external or mental anguish and conflict and instability with the five of blades, or financial insecurity here with the five of coins, and then also conflict, maybe sometimes some level of just friendly competition with the five of rods. Okay, now we are at the sixes. We got the rods, the six of elixirs, six of blades, six of coins here, all represented. And with the sixes, according to the guidebook, it's about fairness, values, solutions. I also have communication and cooperation, as well as harmony. So we see that here with the six of rods, certainly with the six of elixirs. And then moving on, transition, harmonious energies after a time of change, and instability with the six of blades. Same thing with the six of coins. Okay, balance, fairness, shared values, solutions, and cooperation. So we've got the eights, or excuse me, not the eights, the sevens. Getting ahead of myself. Sevens represents change, evaluation, patience, reflection, assessment, and knowledge. We certainly see that with the seven of coins here, right? Evaluation and having a sense of patience about yourself. Strategy also I associate with the seven of blades. Strategy is about things being, part of the mind. Or, blades are representing the mind, air element, right? So certainly strategy could be added as a key association. We have the seven of rods here, and sevens again, I find the sevens with the guidebook association of change, evaluation, and patience A little difficult to apply to the Seven of Rods. Let me know what you think. What numerological associations do you have for the sevens? Out of curiosity, particularly as it relates to the minors. And then Seven of Elixirs, Seven of Cups, traditionally. And this makes sense. Sevens dealing with reflection, assessment, evaluation. Okay. All right. Be right back. Now we are at the eights officially. So the eights are associated with success, control, activity, mastery, action, and accomplishment. I love this. So letting go, moving on, moving to emotional higher ground. So the action of moving forward, moving beyond, gaining control over your emotional self, over your emotions, and taking action. Okay, so that's what I associate there. Eight of Blades, taking control or need to gain control over your mind's worries, anxieties, and such, and mastering that. There's a sense of mastery, certainly, that is associated with the Eight of Coins and the Eight of Rods. This is where I think that the numerological associations that are found in the guidebook and what I've actually associated with the eights really is applicable. So, success, control, activity, mastery, action, accomplishment. Okay, so now we have the nines. So the nines are about preparation, mastery, and wisdom according to the guidebook, the Antique Anatomy Tarot Guidebook. I have listed here for my own associations, fruition, attainment, and fulfillment. This is Nine of Blades. Certainly we can see that with the Nine of Elixirs or Nine of Cups, Nine of Water. About preparation, mastery, and wisdom, and fruition, and attainment, as well as with this Nine of Coins, okay, and as opposed to also with the Nine of Rods. So now we are at the tens. The tens are about completion, endings or end of a cycle, reflection, and renewal. Right? We have that. We know that to be true with the Ten of Blades. Ten of Blades. What I love about when this comes up in a reading is, so yes, we are now embarking on a painful ending, but there on the other side of this painful ending is a whole new beginning. Right? Same thing with the Ten of Rods. You've had to endure a lot to accomplish a particular goal or to reach a particular destination. Now that you've reached it, you're now embarking on a whole new beginning. Ten of Coins, completion, endings. You could also assign attainment really with the tens too, right? And then Ten of Elixirs, similar to Ten of Coins in the sense of now we have reached that beautiful goal of emotional fulfillment and attainment and happy endings and new beginnings, that we're about to embark on after reaching some harmonious like family goals, for example, getting married. Now what comes on the other side of getting married? Now starting a new family, embarking on a whole new journey with your spouse, etc. Okay. Touch upon the courts, because I did mention earlier in the video that although the guidebook doesn't assign or doesn't encourage necessarily to worry about the courts, you certainly could. For example, you could take the pages are as the number 11 for me, and then we have the knights. The knights would be associated with the number 12, and then the queens, number 13, and then the kings, number 14, and then you can break them down to their base number. So, for example, the King of Coins is number 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. Fives are associated interestingly enough, with isolation, conflict, and perspective, according to the guidebook here. And so pages, the number is 11 that I associate with it. And so 1 plus 1 to get to the base number is 2. And, it's balance, partnership, duality. So you could do it that way. That's one suggestion that I do, or I have, and how I incorporate using numerology with the quartz. Do you have some ways that you get to the quartz and numerology together? How do you do that? Do you also follow like the guidebook and just say, and I'm not worried about numerology and the quartz? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I love this deck so much. I want to hear from you. Share with me, share with others your thoughts about numerology and tarot. Do you rely on that, magical correspondence or not? Why or why not? Do you have any tips you'd like to share? We want to hear from you. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune in for more videos. I have more to come. Take good care of yourselves, and bye for now.